Trying to edit this video, and my cat decided that he wanted attention. So, guess we're doing this now. Okay, get your ass on my face. Yes. Come here, step it on my throat.
So, back at the dawn of the new millennium, we saw the release of two movies about manned missions to Mars. Touchstone Pictures' Mission to Mars, loosely based off the now-defunct Disney attraction of the same name, and Warner Brothers' Red Planet. Right out of the gate, Mission to Mars had one major advantage over Red Planet, in that it was helmed by seasoned veteran Brian De Palma, the director of such films as Carrie, Scarface, The Untouchables, Casualties of War, and Mission Impossible. Red Planet, on the other hand, was directed by first-time director Anthony Hoffman, and the resulting film was received so poorly that it essentially ended his career as a feature film director before it even began.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time.
The premise of Mission to Mars is that in the far-off year of earlier this month, NASA is sending the first manned mission to Mars, where the international team of astronauts will remain for a year before being relieved by a second team. After 7 months on Mars, the astronauts are struck by a mysterious phenomenon that wipes out most of the team. Back on Earth, they decide to speed up the second mission and change its objective to that of a rescue.
Bjornstrom is a geologist. He's good, but not for this. My people just lost 8 months of training. This is a different mission with a different objective.
I haven't approved the mission yet.
Yes, but when you do, it ought to be given its best chance for success.
In Red Planet, pollution and overpopulation on Earth have reached such levels that humanity is being forced to terraform Mars in hopes of colonizing it. To that end, they have been sending unmanned probes full of algae that has been engineered to grow on Mars and produce oxygen, thereby converting the atmosphere. This seems to be going well until several years later when all of the algae mysteriously disappears and oxygen levels begin to drop back down. This prompts humanity to send a team of astronauts to Mars to investigate. Red Planet begins to show its weaknesses right from the very first scene. We receive an exposition dump in voiceover that explains what has happened with the Earth, the plan regarding Mars, and why they're sending a mission there. This type of exposition isn't necessarily a bad thing. Star Wars does it all the time, and no one complains about that. The problem is, the voiceover also introduces the characters and their quirks, and this is just unbelievably lazy writing.
I'm Bowman, pilot and mission commander. Chantillis, chief science officer and the soul of the crew. Santon, a hothead but a fine co-pilot.
Mission to Mars also introduces its characters and mission in the first scene, but it's handled with much more grace. We open on a party being held in honor of the astronauts the day before they leave for Mars, and we learn about the characters organically through their interactions with each other, instead of simply being told, "This is the co-pilot, he's hot-headed."
But a fine co-pilot.
In addition to being much more interesting to watch, we get a better idea of the relationships between characters. Also, as a little bit of directorial flair, the sequence opens on 2 long takes with a combined runtime of 6.5 minutes. In fact, there are only 2 cuts in the entire first 10 minutes of the film. I feel like I really could have liked Red Planet if it had been given a couple more drafts and had a better director. The basic premise is very 50s pulp sci-fi, which I have a soft spot for, but in addition to the lazy delivery of exposition, the movie leans a bit too much into religious territory. There's a conversation at the beginning with Terrence Stamp's Chantillis and Val Kilmer's Gallagher that starts out really interesting. The mission they're on is about saving humanity, so they're discussing the merits of what they're doing and what would happen if they just let humanity go extinct, and the nature of science and philosophy and all that. But then the conversation ends with Chantillis claiming that science can't answer any of the really interesting questions, so he turned to philosophy and has been searching for God ever since. This thread, along with discussions of faith and debates with non-believers, pop up throughout the narrative, and it just isn't for me.
Uh-oh. We're going to talk about God now, aren't we? Because if we are, I'm going to need another pop.
It wouldn't bother me that much if it actually had anything to do with the story, but instead it's just kind of shoehorned in there. Mission to Mars goes completely in the opposite direction, instead positing that life on Earth was seeded by Martians millions of years ago when they fled Mars and the solar system after a cataclysmic meteor impact, but not before sending one ship back to Earth to kickstart evolution. In fact, this revelation is kind of where the movie falls apart. The first 2/3 of Mission to Mars are really, really good, and then it completely shits the bed in the final act. And it's not even the concept that's bad, it's completely the execution. Let me break this down for a minute with a quick real-life history lesson. Back in 1976, the Viking 1 probe was sent to Mars, and during its mission sent back some pictures. One of these pictures featured a rocky outcropping that vaguely resembled a human face. This became known as the face on Mars. In the movie Mission to Mars, they discovered that this actually is a monument of a face, but it had been covered by dirt and rocks during the millions of years that it had been there.
Listen, hundreds and millions of years have gone by, okay? You've got erosion, lava flows, sandstorms, meteor impacts. Hell, in that much time, the whole surface of the planet would have changed, so it's no wonder we never saw it before. I mean, we saw it, but not like they meant us to. There was too much dirt on it.
So what, Luke?
Saw this.
Jesus.
The astronauts managed to get inside the face, where a hologram video explains that Mars used to be inhabited, was hit by a meteor, and the Martians fled the solar system, created life on Earth. This is a pretty interesting concept, if a little far-fetched, but the way it's presented completely ruins it. And the worst part is, all it would have taken is some minor changes in editing. For one thing, get rid of this fucking monstrosity. Its design, it's dumb, its rendering is even worse, and it looks like a bad guy from Reboot.
You have proven yourself worthy of my vast knowledge and endless wisdom.
The other problem is that they have this little montage that shows how life started on Earth, but the characters watching it are narrating it, and the abysmal CGI notwithstanding, I feel like it would have been better if they trusted the audience to understand what they were looking at.
My God, that's it. Hundreds of millions of years ago, there was a sudden explosion of life on Earth. The first multi-celled plants and animals appeared. No one has ever understood why or how it happened.
It takes a scene that could have been really powerful and makes it hokey. Like, guys, just shut the fuck up.
I need you to repeat after me.
Okay.
I will say
I will say
fewer things.
okay.
But this scene is handled so poorly that it almost ruins the rest of the movie, and almost certainly explains why it only has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. The dialogue, performances, special effects, everything before this scene were completely stellar. Mission to Mars starts as a fantastic movie, and then this one scene completely fails at everything else that the movie had done so well, all because the dialogue is hokey and the special effects were laughable even for the time. Which is super weird, because a lot of the other visuals hold up to this day. Take a look at this scene. This movie was released 1 year after The Mummy, and this looks way better than the sandstorms. Nope. And this looks way better than the sandstorm scene from that movie. Hell, the tornadoes in Geostorm from 2017 don't even look that good. And then compare that to this visual dumpster fire. These are from the same movie. While the majority of the special effects and visuals in Mission to Mars still look good, the effects in Red Planet are garbage. Some of the shots look nice, a credit to cinematographer Peter Sushitsky, who many might recognize from a little film called The Empire Strikes Back. But the CGI is just fucking brutal, and they rely way too heavily on it given what was possible at the time. Red Planet's cast has, at least for the time, some bigger names in it than Mission to Mars, like Val Kilmer, Carrie-Anne Moss, Terrence Stamp, and Tom Sizemore. But because they're working with such a shitty script, their performances are pretty mediocre.
How many hits did you get on your website yesterday, Pettingill? Oh, I got 500,000.
That's great.
The actors have absolutely no chemistry, and with few exceptions are largely antagonistic towards each other. Most of these characters are complete assholes. There are 2 scenes involving Carrie-Anne Moss where she's sexually harassed by her crewmates, even though she's the mission's leader.
Just pretend I'm your sister.
I have 2 sisters. They don't look like you.
This only works if we both believe it doesn't matter.
Okay, why don't we practice? You can get back in the shower naked and come out, and I'll pretend it doesn't matter.
We just take it over for ourselves. You know, you can do the religion thing. You, Gallagher, you can keep the Space John working, and I can handle pretty much everything else, you know. King.
What about me?
Well, you'll be my queen. Propagation of the species.
I don't know if they were trying to say something about sexism in the workplace, or if it was supposed to be funny or what, but it just kind of comes across as icky. Mission to Mars handles its characters much better. The cast has a lot more chemistry, and the film puts a lot of time into building up their relationships. You can tell that these people are all very close and have a history together. A good example of this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Early on in the film, husband and wife Woody and Terry are talking about dancing at their wedding, and how Woody isn't a great dancer. Later, while they're en route to Mars, we get this scene. With almost no dialogue at all, you learn heaps of information about all the characters, especially the relationships with each other. The characters in Red Planet all seem like they just met, even though they've been in space together for at least 6 months by the time we enter the story. The history that the characters share in Mission to Mars make it that much more tragic when disaster strikes, because not only does the audience care about these people, but you know that the characters in the film do too. When people start dying off on Red Planet, it's just kind of whatever. You don't care, and the characters really don't seem to either. Another weird thing that Red Planet does is it kind of like cuts up scenes. There's supposed to be a romantic relationship between Carrie-Anne Moss and Val Kilmer's characters, but the scene that establishes that is cut out and shown more than halfway through the film. We literally have no idea that these characters are supposed to be in a relationship until the third act. And in fact, there's a scene at the beginning between Carrie-Anne Moss and Benjamin Bratt that makes it seem like they're in a relationship.
Hey, you're talking to a classroom of second graders from Iowa at 14:30.
Wait a minute, it's your turn to do the kiddies.
Oh, no, it is your turn and you know it. Besides, I outrank you. I could order you to do it.
This mean you're pulling rank for the shower, too?
No, not rank. Gender. Ladies first.
It's completely confusing. To Red Planet's credit, there is one scene that I found particularly effective. The astronauts have crash landed far away from the pre-established base camp and have to walk for hours to find it. Once they do, they discover that their habitat has been completely destroyed, and all of the supplies and oxygen are gone. They only have a few minutes of oxygen left in their suits, and they're forced to pretty much sit there and wait to die. One by one, they run out of air, leaving the others to listen to them suffocate over the radios while they await the exact same fate.
Gallagher, oxygen supply depleted.
The scene is easily the most effective at building tension in the entire movie, which is kind of sad because it's pretty early on in the film, and everything that follows is stupid. And I do mean stupid. In an effort to raise the stakes, there's a robot in the film called Amy that malfunctions and goes into military mode and begins hunting the characters. This in and of itself isn't a problem. I like a good killer robot movie as much as the next guy, but the way it's handled here is really dumb. The first scene where it attacks the characters, it easily could have killed them all, but instead it injures one of them and then runs away. When this behavior is questioned, Val Kilmer says the robot is using guerrilla tactics.
It's a broken rib.
Oh, tell me something I don't know, like why she let us live, she had us.
She's playing war games. Guerrilla tactics. It's an old trick. Wound one of the enemy, the others have to help out. Slows them down. Sooner or later, she'll play search and destroy, and she'll come and kill us. One by one.
And I understand that you can't just kill off your entire cast in one scene and it's more effective to have them be slowly hunted, but you gotta have a better setup for it than that. How is that a more effective strategy than just killing them all right then and there, which the robot very easily could have done? The other dumb thing with this is how the robot fights. It's a quadruped and it looks a lot like a cheetah when it runs, but then when it goes into combat mode, it suddenly becomes like a martial artist, and it's unbelievably corny. I like me some cheese, but this is pushing it even for me. To be completely fair, even though I'm of the position that Mission to Mars is significantly better than Red Planet, and I actually kind of like the movie, it's not without its share of dumb shit. Take the tornado scene. As awesome as this scene is, it's pretty stupid that the characters are just standing there staring at it like a bunch of cows watching a train wreck. And, again, I love this scene, but the premise behind it is kind of dumb. The whole idea is that it's basically like a security system.
It's a test. It's asking us for the right answer. It wants us to put in a missing pair of chromosomes to prove that we're human.
We fired radar into that thing, concentrated radio waves, and you're saying...
Which it interpreted as the wrong answer. It could be like a security alarm. When it gets an incorrect response, it defends itself.
But there's a couple problems with that. One, how the fuck are they supposed to know that that's what it is and how they're supposed to respond? And then two, the answer's supposed to prove that they're human, but like, who the fuck else is going to be showing up on Mars? And if they get the answer wrong, your solution is to kill them? That's a pretty fucking harsh response. That'd be like your phone shooting you in the face for getting your passcode wrong, and it doesn't set up the Martians to be particularly benevolent. Mission to Mars beats Red Planet out in the music department as well. In addition to having my favorite use of a Van Halen song, the score for the movie was written by my boy Ennio Morricone, and it's phenomenal. The score on Red Planet is at best adequate, if generic, and at worst hokey video game music that sounds cheap and aged poorly. Like, if I'm being completely honest, it sounds like they just got a bunch of royalty-free music from the internet. So, all in all, Mission to Mars, while it does have some dumb shit in it, comes really close to being a genuinely good film, but it's completely sabotaged by the poor execution of its ending, whereas Red Planet is just kind of garbage throughout. Even though Mission to Mars falls apart at the end, though, I feel like the rest of the movie is a masterclass in science fiction. The character relationships are wonderfully established, the tension is palpable, the performances are great, it's moving and thrilling, and honestly, I think you should watch this movie, but then turn it off at 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 54 seconds, because that is the exact second that this movie shoots itself in the foot.
Okay, so this is like the first one of these that I've uploaded in like a year, and the reason for that is that when I first started out doing the videos, I basically went too hard, too fast. You know, I was trying to keep up a schedule of one video a week, and with the amount of work that each video takes, plus, you know, having a full-time job, it started feeling too much like work, and I lost interest. I think I might get back into it, but I'm gonna slow down, you know, go at like a more leisurely pace than I was. Because like with each video I have to watch 2 movies, and then I have to analyze them, and then I have to write the script, edit the script, shoot the video, edit the video, you know, throw in jokes and everything. And trying to do that 1 video a week, I found that each video that I was putting, I wasn't able to put enough time into editing the script or editing the footage or perfecting the takes when I was shooting them and everything. So I was putting up videos that I wasn't 100% satisfied with. So I think instead of doing 1 video a week, I'm gonna go a little bit more leisurely. I haven't decided yet if it's gonna be like 1 every 2 weeks or 1 a month. Basically, I'm gonna put this up and then I'm just gonna start working on another one, and when I finish it, I finish it. You know, so if you like what I'm doing, if you liked this video or my other videos, feel free to like and subscribe. I will be putting more up, but like I said, it's not going to be as regular. It's not going to be once a week, every Monday or whatever. But they'll still be coming. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash that like button and subscribe. And I should have scripted this first. Bye.